that a teacher is stressed? What would you say?
The tone in the classroom, the level of the discourse between the teacher and the children, raising the voices.
Okay, yelling in a class.
Exiting.
Too many exits, yep.
Doing the exiting and a longer term teacher absence.
Imagine if these were published.
No, we don't want to do that.
No, but you should in one way, because then you'd be saying if you're a communally responsible member of this staff, it is your obligation to try and not approach the person, but to try and work out how to help that person through or whatever systems you agree on. So in a way, it would make an onus on people not to ignore this stuff. And I've done this in some schools, you know, in my early days when I was naive. I tried this, didn't work. But we tried to identify things that might suggest we need to approach a teacher. We got everybody buddied up so people would be approachable. They got to nominate who might approach them if the need was thought to exist. And of course, everyone then just froze in position and nothing happened. But it was a good idea, I thought. It was just too linear. It's a man's thinking, you know, it didn't work. I needed something softer. So, okay, that's passive. Now we'll go to social problem solving. Leisure only predicts punishment. Tell me why. I haven't got any idea whatsoever, so I'm not going there. Problem solving is interesting because the problem solvers are less likely to use aggression, less likely to be people using the aggression in response. They are more likely to use discussion, reward, hint, and involvement. Now, you know, knowing what we've just said, I've got two kinds of copers here. One kind turns to the bad stuff, the counterproductive stuff that's going to make their life more miserable, and the kids. And the others actually turn to what is more productive in the research. That's why it was interesting to publish this on the heels of the other stuff I'm doing. I haven't got this in print yet, but I'm just been playing with presenting and seeing what it might mean. But if that were the case, you'd have to concern yourself with people who you know, and you have to think of a way of supporting them in that workplace. And I don't know what that's going to look like. But we're going to get there eventually, I hope. Any comment on these sort of data? Does this resonate with anybody? Or I see some people not. I mean, that's the only way I can test this against people like yourself. So how do you respond to this? Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to have a small setting, then you might also have a culture of talk. And I think you have a culture of talking about the work, about the classroom, this sense of shared responsibility. A lot of those things just slot in really nicely in a small setting.
Small setting. Yeah. Or you could create, maybe, I don't know. Is it possible to create in a big setting small settings?
Of course it is.
But is it done? Is it done where people could deal with this sort of data implicitly, I mean, not explicitly, yeah?
I'm very fortunate in my school that a lot of other schools, people from English faculty or math faculty, they get one staff. But we've got a real range now of English literacy, first year students, 20 years experience, technology teachers, and that diversity is terrific in coping with problems on a day-to-day basis. And it's no one takes it seriously after the first 5 minutes of growling.
Yeah, so the culture is one where you can take risks in your conversation, and you've got a diversity of views, which helps with problem solving, obviously. Yeah, it's interesting, because I mean, that's what it's telling me. I don't know what to do about it yet. I'm just presenting it, but basically I'm saying this, I guess. Teachers who use avoidant and passive, they tend to move towards those non-productive strategies. So they become less productive, more stressed. Whereas those who use more socially oriented stuff, they become more productive. And that's an interesting, so we're going to have to intervene at some point in coping or something to approach people in a way that's going to be productive. So when you go back as learning leaders, this is going to be quite important to you at some level once we start this process. And maybe you'll think about that level of support, because otherwise you've sort of got this ridiculous situation where they turn to more negative coping, and as a result, then they turn to more aggression, and that promotes more misbehaviour, not less, and the whole thing's locked in. So clearly there are implications for, I think, staff development and staff support. But I don't know anyone who's doing it. Has anyone ever come across this stuff in staff development? I know there's stuff in schools, best of coping programs and all that stuff for adolescents. Has anyone heard of anything in the field of teacher development or professional development? I don't know if it's around. And it may seem intrusive. I don't know if people would buy it. And yet it seems to be quite a problem. Okay. Any comment before I just go back to an earlier problem? Because I want to ask you a very difficult question in a minute, because I think it's going to fit in with this, and that is, why do people do the wrong thing? I asked you before, didn't I? So, if I say that, that's no problem with you, is it? You understand this? This is what we've been talking about. But basically, on average, and certainly the more problematic teachers, will turn to more coercive legitimate power and away from referent reward, even though, so they turn into non-productive powers and away from productive ones. And in terms of techniques, it's wrong. So there's my question. This is a very hard question which I've not yet dealt with. I'm working on it now. I need some insight. It would be good if you could take one blank piece of paper per table, because this is a really great opportunity for me and you, and write down any ideas your table has on what might explain this. You're experienced people, you're out there, you know the people. Because, you know, it could, the implications for PD might be enormously different depending on where they're coming from. If you've got a range, you've got a range. So call me over if you need to be anything explained.